to my channel. I am back with this week's Teen Mom Recap. Before I get started with this week's video, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel because I post new videos every single week about the newest episode of Teen Mom, The Next Chapter. If that's something you want to watch, go ahead and subscribe. And anyway, let's go ahead and get started with this week's video. We begin with Cheyenne. She tells her friend about Ryder being called racist names at the playground by another kid. She says, the worst part to me was when Ryder looked at me like, you're not about to do anything? Come on, Mom, you gonna whoop his ass or what? A little less talk and a little more action here. It's the same thing that happened to me when I was younger. When bold stuff happened, I got stuck. I found an organization that can help us talk about these things. I want Corey, Taylor, and Zach to join in too. Zach and Corey both have one white parent, so they might not get it. Leah goes to pick up Addie, who is complaining about her pimple getting bigger. I cannot believe we are at that age already. Ever since the Jeremy situation happened, Addie has been struggling. First she was angry, now she's sad. Then she started reporting back that when she was at Jeremy's, she was hearing him call me a bitch. Addie's been asking to go to Corey's house with her sisters. She's bored when they're not here. She just becomes an only child all of a sudden. She sees Corey so involved with them, but Jeremy hasn't been to any of her school events in 2 years. I think that therapy may be beneficial for her. Macy has been helping coach Jaden Maverick in wrestling. She says, I got a message offering me the head coach position at their school. I'm honored to be thought of, especially for the girls team, because kids are being told that if you're a girl, you can't wrestle. Really? Who's saying that? I know more about the women WWE wrestlers than I do the men, though I'm not sure if they consider that like real wrestling. Next is Janelle, who is apparently back to being a full-time cast member. The ratings do not lie, they've been up since she's been back. She says, I'm in Vegas and I'm really digging the vibe. She and August go on a helicopter ride, which I'm assuming is likely funded by her ass pics on OnlyFans. Like, does August have any other clients? What does this man do? Does he take a percentage of Janelle's earnings and that's it? Like, where did she find this man? Then she tells August that she wants to get a restraining order on David. He says, yeah, that's a good idea. But while we're here in Vegas, I have some houses that I want you to see. And there are good schools here too. She says this will be Jace's 4th high school. He's a freshman, by the way. She says, I have to keep an eye on who he's with. Jace does say that he feels like he's not on eggshells anymore since David moved to the boat, so that makes me happy. I just can't get over the 4th high school and he's a freshman. Like, Janelle is truly getting her karma for being a wild child. Janelle goes to see the houses. She says that she'd rather rent for now rather than buy a house, so she can decide if she likes it in Vegas. Her very orange real estate agent says, you may have to jump on this property. It'll probably be gone soon. Much like the spray tan will be when I take a shower tonight. Corey meets up with Cheyenne. He says, in my house growing up, we never really talked about color. Even when I got racist phone calls, I wouldn't really tell my mom about it. Really, my dad should have talked about that with me because he was black, but he was not around. He agrees to do the session with the organization. Next is Jade. Chloe is starting her first day of private school after 3 months of homeschooling, which might as well have been her summer break. Like, now you're going to the real school. Sean promises to start looking for a job now that he really has no excuse. Jade says, you have construction experience, why don't you start with that? Yeah, that sounds good. We could be a dream team. And they said that last episode too, like Jade said something about, yeah, we're gonna build an empire. And it's like, let's take some baby steps here. Leah's girls go out to dinner with Corey, who we rarely see on the show. Gracie mentions that Addie wanted to come with them during their time with him. She says, Addie just sees how close we are. He says, yeah, I made it a priority to take care of you guys, even though I had you when I was so young. Gracie says, Addie really wants a father figure. Well, we should listen to Addie and see what she wants. And just a reminder for people who didn't watch the earlier seasons, Corey has stepped up from the very beginning. He has primary custody of the girls as well, so there's no doubt that he's a good dad. Leah asks Addie why she wants to go with her sisters to Corey's house. She says, I always wanted to see Sissy at their dad's and see what they do there because they always come back with fun stories. Leah says, maybe we can explore that in the future. I feel like you're very bubbly and expressive, but I think you suppress the big emotions. Maybe we can go to counseling. She says, yeah, I'm open to it. I'd like to go. These children are so mature. Like, I remember when I was a kid and I was forced to do like the confessional with the priest, which was kind of like the religious version of therapy. I mean, I literally had to be dragged there. In Leah's confessional, she says, I don't think it's a good idea for Addie to go over to Corey's house. She will just see the difference even more between her dad and their dad. She's just gonna be even more upset. And let me add to that, I never thought Jeremy was a good dad. I remember the fans used to say, oh, he pays for Addie. He supports them financially. That's what counts. He's only gone because he has to work. Like, no. Stop giving these men free passes. You could spend money on anything. That doesn't mean there's any emotion or any connection there, any affection. That does not make you a parent. That makes you a bare minimum sperm donor. And kids know the difference, as you can see here. We haven't heard about Amber Portwood being behind on child support in a while. That doesn't make her a mom. And just also let it be known that Corey has a similar job and he's a great dad to the kids, so something ain't right. Next is time for the class that MTV definitely didn't force Cheyenne to do. Taylor and Zach are there as well. So the host asks about racial hostility, and ultimately she recommends to Cheyenne that she teach Ryder using books, and everyone agrees that it's a good idea. Cheyenne gets a book for Ryder, which is called Preaching to the Chickens, and she reads it to her. Macy is at her kids' wrestling match, and she yells, "Wrestle! Wrestle! Wrestle!" Which seems a little weird to me. Like, I don't know, I've never been to a wrestling match. But when you go to a football game, you don't hear people yelling like, "Football! Football!" Their son Maverick ends up losing, and he is disappointed about it. Later, Macy is unloading the stuff into the car, and Taylor says, "Well, Mav did good today, even though he kind of lost at the end." And Macy says, "Can we not do this? I'm just telling a story. I'm over it." Over me talking? It's a lot. I haven't got to talk to you all day. Listen, my brain is mushy. I have no capacity to interact. Why do you shut me down like this? I can't even talk. Now I'm just gonna bury my thoughts down inside and it'll happen again. Our lives are hectic. I don't get to sit down. I just want you to listen to me. I'll try my best. But you know what? This conversation is productive, though. I'm sorry. And they share a hug. What the hell was that about? Like, I get Macy being tired, but it's not like Taylor asked you to share your opinion on the war in Israel. He just made like a very basic comment about Maverick. It really didn't take much effort to just say, yeah, Maverick did great today. End of conversation. Wasn't really that deep. It seems more to me like Macy was annoyed at the very sight of Taylor, at his very presence in her vicinity. I don't know, I just get the feeling that a lot goes on with these two that we don't see. And I also get the feeling that she wanted to continue fighting, but then she's like, oh, there's cameras here, let me just quickly make up and hug him. Maybe they should have stayed those extra days at that family reunion vacation thing. Janelle calls her lawyer to see if she can move to Vegas, and the lawyer gives the thumbs up. And this all happens like extremely fast. She says, I want to sign on the house we last saw. When? Now! She calls the realtor right there, and that's it. She drives over and signs the papers. I know that she was renting and not buying the house, so that makes it go a little faster, but like, wow, that was fast. There's so much to look forward to. Vegas is a great safe haven for my kids. Janelle is probably the only person to have ever uttered that sentence. Jade and Sean pick up Chloe. They ask her, do you like your new school? Yeah, all my friends are girls except for one. It's less boring too. They are so happy about it that it makes Sean get teary-eyed. Later, Sean registers for a home inspector certification course to begin his new career. Jade says, you need to make sure you're 100% dedicated to this, and he says, I am. Janelle has to come back to North Carolina for her pending restraining order. She has a court hearing. She says, I think David follows me. I feel stalked and harassed. I worry that every white truck I see might be him. Which I doubt he's keeping up the payments on that car. You might want to worry that every single dude hanging out outside the gas station asking for cigarettes might be him. She cries. She says, I have court today and my nerves are shot. I have panic attacks. I'm so sick of feeling this way. So the hearing happens, it doesn't get filmed, and Brianna calls Janelle afterwards. Janelle says, my restraining order, including the one for the kids, just got put in place. It was approved. And I did tell Jace too. The fears in my head are like, poof, gone now. And good for her. One thing I noticed with Janelle scenes is that she's coming off as like pretty normal. Like no really ratchet Janelle shit has happened yet like it has in previous seasons. I do think a lot of the bad parts of Janelle scenes were David, but I also think MTV is giving her like a really good edit to maybe ensure that she doesn't try to quit the show. I don't know. But I remember recapping this like when it was happening last fall, last summer. And I remember that she was doing like a lot of bad things, like defending David and all this stuff, so maybe they're just not showing that. I don't know. And if you saw me go like this, it's because there was a little bug flying around, and I think I got it. I don't see it on my hand. Macy meets up with her mom. She says, I would love to coach full-time, but it's super draining, and that trickles into my marriage. I talked about it with Taylor, and he said that if I took the job, he would take on more responsibilities. So he's open to it. But I feel like maybe it'll be easier in a few years when our kids are older. I just can't do it right now. I'm not going to take the job. Leah meets up with her friend. She says, Jeremy is being a pain in the ass. He won't sign consent for Addie to go to therapy. Why? He didn't give a reason. We have split decision making on the kids, so I can't do it without his permission. Like, what do you gain from her not going? Are you afraid she will say something to the counselor about when she's with you? I'm gonna call my family attorney about this. Jeremy is just pathetic. Like, I kind of get it, you're from the South. You probably ain't never been to no therapy before, so you ain't seen no value in it. But, like, it's not like one of those woo-woo California doctors that, like, Cheyenne goes to, where they're doing, like, hypnosis and Reiki and shit. Like, I could see not believing in that. But Leah just wanting to take her to a regular therapist? Why would you possibly not allow Addie to do that? I think it's just control. It's all about control. Jeremy wants to literally deprive his daughter of mental health treatment so he can feel control over Leah, which is so vile. And by the way, if I were Leah, I would just take her there anyway and not tell him about it. Self-pay, make sure it doesn't show up on the insurance. Like, what's the therapist gonna do? Call Jeremy, call the cops? I doubt it. And that is all for this episode of Teen Mom The Next Chapter. What do we think of Janelle moving to Vegas? I've been seeing on her social media that she's in a wheelchair now due to an ACL sprain, so you go, Gypsy Rose. What do we think of Macy and Taylor? Do we think there's a lot more lying under the surface there? Make sure to leave a comment down below, and make sure to subscribe for more Teen Mom recaps every week.